2023 mousing season is a wrap. And it's been a great season getting out on the water with some of the guides from the shop and exploring some of these North Carolina waters for the first summer after coming down here from Pennsylvania. Now, I've been mousing for years up in Michigan and Pennsylvania, in rivers like the Ausable, the West Branch of the Delaware, and some spots in the Poconos and around Philadelphia. It's an extremely effective way at targeting large brown trout in the summer when the temperature and pressure tends to push those fish towards feeding in the evening on large bait. Now, at night you can fish a lot of large dry flies, frog patterns, and a lot of other things that are going to create commotion on the water, and there's a variety of ways you can fish these techniques. My fly of choice this year, which I'm tying up in this video, was a cup-faced Moorish mouse. You can use a variety of mouse patterns, whether you're shaving back deer or elk hair, or shaping something complex out of foam, like an emperor fly. Whatever you tie, it's important to have a rod and the skill set with which to deliver these wind-resistant flies towards the bank of rivers. Now, a bit of a disclaimer on this video. This is all shot on my iPhone, and it's very difficult to film mousing at night, being that there's limited light and you don't often get an opportunity to fish side by side with others while spacing out is to your benefit. The season began on the lower Nantahala, chasing some tailwater brown trout on some bigger rivers and testing out some of the flies we've been tying in the shop. We did some practice casts in the daytime before getting to work. So we're out here, you guys can see we got some crazy fog. This is a little bit more the conditions we'll be fishing in tonight, and as you can see, we can't even see our fly out there. Conditions are just tough to see, and that's why we practice in the daytime, so you know what works and how you can throw those flies. So we're gonna stay out here and we'll hopefully get you guys some good fish to show, but the action's been good already. You can see the flies going, there's fish rising all around us. All right. Nice. Oh yeah.
On the mouse.
Dude. That was it. That was it, dude. Did you hear that? That was him.
We're on, gentlemen.
Just a little one. Just a little one to start. Might not even be a brown. Yeah, we got a rainbow to start. Nice, almost maybe wild rainbow. But I'll take that to start.
But it's crazy, guys. I mean, where we're at.
I mean,
there's your fly.
Yeah.
And the fog is so thick you can't even see the other bank.
That was a pretty big blow up. It was until the fight. I mean, it's a 10 weight I'm throwing right now, so just an old Fluger 10 weight. You know, hey, that's a start, you know, right there. So.
Let's go, guys.
After some success on the lower Nantahala, curiosity quickly got the better of me and drew me to some other rivers in the area. One of my favorite streams over the past few years is the East Fork of the French Broad. The headwaters are fantastic delayed harvest waters that boast some of the largest brown trout in the area. So my target was on these waters pretty quickly. I was absolutely surprised to have my first cast deliver a large brown trout and one of the biggest I would get all season. The next few nights would be action that would match that or exceed it, and it would be some of the best in fishing all summer. After some long nights on the East Fork of the French Broad, driving roughly an hour and a half over the mountains and back, this begins what I call the Davidson days. These were a few weeks spent going back and forth to the Davidson River, scouting and chasing large brown trout in the catch and release section. Every night we would go out there, look at a new hole, and find another large brown trout waiting for us. Me and the guides would go out night after night and chase these fish. A lot of solo evenings, but also a lot of great nights with the crew. These are days that I will always remember and look back on fondly. We're out here on the Davidson River doing a little bit of mousing. We just hired Jake on as a new guide. I mean, he's a slayer. We all know it. He's put in some, I mean, you should see the work he put in today. You know, if you guys are interested and Mark puts together a video, I'll throw that one somewhere in the bio here. But
Mark out here at night.
Yeah, dude. And we're out here at an absolute crazy pool. You can kind of see how big it is here. If you guys know the Davidson, you probably already know where we're at. There's 3 or 4 fish over 20 inches that we just got eyes on here. So we're throwing the white mouse, which has been getting it done. One of the hotter flies of the shop. I can't tie them fast enough to sell them. Just bought pretty much all the white foam at Sportsman's Warehouse. So, you know, I was thinking I wasn't gonna get another night in here in July, but we're gonna get one more night at it. So hopefully we get some fish to net. We got some logistics to play at this hole, so we kind of talked out our netting plan. But either way, hopefully I won't have the total selfie debacles I've had all season with this guy helping out. So, plus we got the big old net coming out. I'm wondering if I should break out
Musky net.
I'm gonna break out my landing net. I'm not playing no games either.
No games tonight.
Yeah. So there we go, guys. So hopefully a good night. The early nights on the Davidson were incredible, and it was starting to give me a lot of confidence for the rest of the season. The next few nights, as we worked spots that we'd worked consistently night after night, we noticed the action started to slow. We still got into some fish, but we were really starting to grind it out. Ultimately, it finally took a change to a new spot to kind of snap that cold streak. I spent a few days guiding and fishing some blue lines up near the parkway. With temperatures pretty high, it was one of the only ways, with the exception of mousing, that I could comfortably target fish without feeling like I was stressing them. It was some great days getting out of the summer heat up at high altitude and chasing small stream gems while waiting on the sun to go down. After that trip, I was headed up over the mountain and down to the Davidson to meet up with our guide Taylor for a night of mousing. Taylor.
I'm Taylor Farfler. I'm one of the guides here at Maggie Valley Fly Shop. I am a North Carolina local. I was born and raised up in Boone, North Carolina. And yeah, trout are my obsession.
All right, we are maybe 5-10 minutes into mousing, if that. Taylor's already got herself a nice brown to start on a white mouse. Look at that.
Oh my god.
That's something. There we go. First brown mouse for you there. Let's get you another one. Oh, these salmon. First brown mouse for you there. Let's get you another one. Oh, these salmon hooks. They don't want to come out. If you need pliers, I got you. After spending some days in the shop, I made my way up to Tennessee to the Watauga River to fish some tailwaters similar to the Nantahala where I started the season. After returning from the Watauga, I was eagerly awaiting having a few days off so I could head up north to Pennsylvania and chase some brown trout on waters I'd scouted in the years past. I decided on my way I would make a few detours and stop at West Virginia and chase a few fish. I scouted some potential mousing waters in West Virginia. My focus was on returning to the limestone of Pennsylvania. 4 hours I spent in Pennsylvania made me miss home even more. After returning from Pennsylvania, I took a few days off. After that, I commenced what I called the Davidson days too. Jake and I returned a few nights later, did some dry fly fishing before really getting to work. Now, there were some frustrating nights with a lot of action but no fish to net, but ultimately that's part of what mousing is. You gotta stick out those hard nights just like musky fishing or anything else. A little bit of August mousing is the 16th, I think, so we're about 15 days away from a crazy moon. We're gonna get a super moon on the 31st, but out here for another night on the Davidson, trying to make it work. Working a section that haven't worked in probably a month. Had a big blow up. Jake was out here guiding here today. I was guiding on Cherokee. Just giant stoneflies out on the water, so we got one of those we're gonna play with too. But playing with the mice, same white mouse that we've been working with, getting it done. You know, tonight might be a decent, we're getting a good start. We kept fishing that evening, and for those of you who are familiar with the infamous bat clip, you will see a bat in my net at some point in this footage. We're hooked into a nice fish. Oh my god, I didn't see that. Oh my god, I'm gonna get this one. Woo! There it is. There it is. Man, just smacked this one for a spot of the night. As mentioned in the footage before, there was a bat in my net, and when I found it, it was submerged and sadly dead. Apparently I was supposed to actually kill it and bring it in for testing for rabies, so future notice, that's what you should do. Alright, so back up to the car after hitting that mouse, first spot of the evening. It's not even 9:30. Look at the blood on that. Just absolutely swallowed it. We did get the fish revived. It did take off. It took a little bit of effort, but ultimately we got that thing off. I tried to really just take some quick video using my chest pack to kind of prop up the camera, but ultimately that was a good start to the evening. So let's try to bag one more before we head back to Maggie Valley. After a tiring season going back and forth over the mountains, I was starting to look for water closer to home. I stumbled upon a spot during a guiding trip where I noticed at least one large fish towards the tail out. The more I looked at that pool, the more I noticed there was about 6 large brown trout around 20-inch range. We worked it a little bit during our guided trip and ended up getting into a really nice rainbow while I was throwing a streamer tutorial cast. This gave me a lot of confidence to return, and I'd spend the next few nights working this spot, getting a lot of big blow-ups, but failing to bring any of those large 20-inchers to net. Regardless, having water this close to my apartment was fantastic for a change. After showing him the teeth marks on the flies from the nights before, I was able to get Jake out for another night of mousing on the West Fork. It's almost impossible to get a mousing blow up on film, so we figure if we're gonna get one, it's gonna be at last light. The reason it's so hard to get one on film is you really don't want to have that light on when we're fishing at night, so these last light conditions are really our best shot at that. I'm getting absolutely destroyed by mosquitoes, such as those gray hours of the evening, but hopefully Jake gets it done here. So Jake just popped this fish like 3 or 4 times, trying to get that elusive pop on film. It was insane. This is the fish we marked, and he hit it literally 3 times in a row, and then got it. Possibly 2 fish in there, we're not sure, but just a good start to the evening so far.
Hell of a start.
Oh. Myself, and I don't know, maybe even more. It's just been kind of crazy. It's these stupid hatchery fish, honestly. Like, the thing was, we kind of came upstream from it, and we were down working some of those big old wild fish, and those fish, you get maybe 1 or 2 pops to, and they kind of get wise to you. And hatchery fish, we literally had headlights on up here, and they were still blowing us up. So, I mean, that's kind of the game. Is, you know, it's a little bit different when you're playing with those fish versus those wilds. But honestly, if you ask me right now, if I would rather, I like both. I mousing when you're going after those wilds, that's the true game. But chilling up here, listening to some music, you know, hanging out, and then just working some low-key spots. In September, focus shifted a little bit away from mousing, and I spent some time Euro-nymphing with our shop owner Shannon on some local waters while I killed some time during the day. As we get towards the fall season, we're getting ready for a big competition at the shop in Cherokee water, and it's important for me to spend more time doing things other than fishing at night. It was great to spend some time on local water, fishing just about a 5-minute walk down from my apartment, and spending some time during the day and being social for a change. I had a few guided trips the next few days, and I actually took a few clients out to my mousing hole. It was great to throw a few dry flies to the fish that I would be fishing later those evenings and get eyes on the fish that I knew were in those various locations. Well guys, back at the van. I've been fishing this spot in the West Fork for the last few nights, just really kind of putting in about 30 minutes here and there, really because it's so close to my apartment. Maybe 6 fish over 20 inches in this hole. I just popped 2 of them in their known location, and I had one on with an absolutely insane fight. I was reaching for my camera to try to film the fight for you guys, got a little bit of slack in the line, lost the fish. Not very happy about that. I literally thought it was gonna be my last cast of the night. I was headed back, and you know, so kind of frustrating to lose it like that, but you know, this fly is absolutely shredded. We only really got a few more nights left here in the mouse season. We got reports of steelhead up north, so wrapping up here pretty soon. But it's been a really good season, and you know, I really just want to try to get you guys one more nice fish. I'm thinking of returning into the East Fork for French Broad, so we'll kind of see how the next few nights pan out. I had a few days in the shop to try to recover and get my sleep back to a normal schedule, and I knew I only had a few days left of the true summer mouse season. Now, we might get some opportunities to throw some ice for some spawning brown trout out of the lakes in the fall, and we may even get a shop trip out to the White River in Little Red in Arkansas. But with time on the clock still left before September 21st, The goal was to produce one more good-sized fish before we called it for the season. While trying to get my schedule to align with the other guides so we could go out for another evening, I decided I'd take some solo trips and try to close down the season on a high note. This would inevitably bring me back to where I had the most success at the beginning of the season, on the East Fork of the French Broad. I had high hopes for returning, but I knew that if I did not have the same success, then that would be a sign that the mouse activity was starting to slow down as we were progressing into fall feeding habits. I made it back to the East Fork of the French Broad and was greeted by the beaver, who friendly greeted me with a tail slap on my first night out there. Guys, I came out here to the East Fork French Broad, kind of where it started at the beginning of the season. Try one more time. I was about ready to call it for the season. Had no blow-ups at the first 3 spots, which total different pace from where we started the season. And then I just came down to one last spot. Was going to throw 5 more casts. I ended up with 3 or 4 blow-ups on those 5 casts. So I fished a little bit longer. Ended up hooking into one, losing it. Kind of the theme of September here is just, you know, getting into good fish and losing them. But hopefully we're going to get 1 or 2 more nights. Try to get Taylor and Mark out here. But otherwise, this is probably the last time I'm going to be out here all season. So it's been great to get back to the East Fork French Broad. So Taylor took me up on the offer to come out mousing, you know. Told you I wasn't sure if we'd get another night out here, but the fish at that spot in the West Branch have been driving me crazy. I can't just keep popping those fish and coming back and putting 30 minutes in and calling it a quick night, but that's exactly what we're gonna do tonight. Is
yeah, 30
you know,
minutes.
the Eagles are on right now, but luckily they're on Amazon Prime, so when I get back I can just restart the game. And
you meant the game, not real Eagles.
hey, yeah, exactly, yeah. And so hey, you know, Sco Birds, all right? This is Philly Fly Fishing Guy, all right? So guys, we're gonna talk about, you know, equipment a little bit. I haven't gotten really a chance to talk about it too much. So for the last 2 seasons, I've been using a St. Croix Mojo bass. I carry both a 7 and a 9 weight with me. Usually I use the 9 weight, and while that might sound heavy, if you're familiar with that rod, it's not your average 9 weight, not your average 7 weight. It's a 7'11" rod, short for competition, for bass fishing, and it's an easy loading rod designed for poppers and wind resistant streamers. And Taylor actually just got a new rod she's breaking out today.
Brand new Recon.
Brand new Orvis Recon, actually in the 5 weight. So you don't need to throw on a heavy rod mousing. I mean, I've done it this season on a 4 weight, but this is my ideal rod for it, just because it keeps my arms from getting tired with those casts every night.
My 8 weight is in the carb. It has sinking line, and you'll want floating line.
Yeah, absolutely. You can get away with intermediate, which we've used at one point this season, but ideally floating line. So we're calling it for a quick night, at least on this spot, and we're gonna see if we can light up any of these fish as we walk back. Right here, that's where that one popped me the other night. The dogs are going nuts. Yeah, I don't. Oh, there he is. There he is. There he is. Do you see him? He's just sitting there, right there on this rock right there. Do you see that rock right there?
Oh, I can't see him.
Oh my God, he's moving now. He's moving now.
Where?
He's moving out there. See him in the middle? Moving out
Oh
there.
my
in the middle.
God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. That thing was huge.
That was like a 18. And there's bigger ones, but like, yeah, right there. And that's right where he popped me the other night, you know? So we just got back from possibly what might be the last mousing night of the season. Only about 30 minutes in, but you know, like I said, out on the water, Taylor got about 3 blow-ups. I ended up with about 10. And, you know, just kind of some furious action. I was just cussing over, making the dogs bark behind us, but
They were being good dogs.
But you know, ultimately, I think coming full circle and kind of what this season's been about is really that mousing isn't about always catching those fish. And if that's your expectation, then you might go out your first time and not really understand what's going on with this whole thing. And, you know, going out there tonight, you know, just trying one more time to make it happen and having just some really fun times doing it.
I think the best part of the night was when it rained. It felt really good.
A little light rain, and it's still coming down a little
really
bit now,
good.
but yeah, it was just, you know, a little rain right there at the end, and you know, that's really all you can ask for, getting out here. And that ends what's been a fantastic mousing season. It's been great, and it started out really fast, learned some hard lessons with some frustrating nights throughout the season, got into some great fish and had some fun times out there with the guides, learning new water all season long. Ultimately, mousing is one of the best things you can do to spend some time out away from the crowds and target some of those larger fish. I love doing it, and I look forward to next summer and next mousing season in Western North Carolina.
This season was my first season mousing, and I have to say there was nothing that was going to prepare me for it. I've heard, you know, stories about how hard it was. It wasn't like anything else that you were going to experience, and that is 100% true. This point in my fly fishing career, there's not much I don't understand. So for me, mousing is a new animal. It's something to learn. It's something to get better at. It's something that pushes me outside of my comfort zone, but is still possible. It is something that you're gonna be having to be ready for no light, have to cast in the dark, be okay with being in the dark. There are gonna be animals that are gonna scare the bejesus out of you, and you need to be okay with that. But if you can, you know, be a real angler and be out there after dark and casting in the dark with no lights to wee hours of the morning, then it's for you. It's for you. It's for me.
Well, guys, just a little perspective on the season. It's been incredible. You know, getting a lot of time out there on water that I had moused for the first time. Spending a lot of time teaching the guides and working with some of those guys who have a little bit of experience out west doing it, and it's been incredible. The vibes have been, you know, way up high. Really looking forward to next summer and getting back out on some of these Western North Carolina waters that we left some meat on the bone, or ones we haven't even touched yet. So there's just a lot of potential coming for next year in Tennessee and North Carolina. We're looking forward to some things, you know, not just top water fishing. We got some great opportunities coming in the fall and in the winter here. And we're looking forward to a possible shop trip up to the Little Red River and the White River in Arkansas in the winter to keep the mousing going. So if you guys liked what you saw here in this video, go ahead and subscribe to Maggie Valley Fly Fishing, and look forward to some great content from me and the guides here in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and look forward to showing you some more mousing and other fishing here in the future.